Hey everyone, welcome to the Neuro Spicy Mama. My name's Amanda. Tonight we are going to be working on a perfect ADHD dinner because it is a one sheet pan meal, so it's pretty easy, and I'm going to show you tips and tricks along the way. Okay, so this one is like, I'm going to say it's easy meal. It does require a little bit of energy and executive functioning points, but it is definitely like not one that's going to be too complicated. All right, let's get started. But the ironic thing about it is when I went to go start my dinner, I was like, okay, the main thing that we need for a sheet pan dinner, of course, is our cookie sheet. When I went to go look for my cookie sheet, it wasn't where it was supposed to be. It's here in the oven from when I made my husband chicken parmesan. And I would go and clean it, but my sink is completely full of dishes. So we're gonna do the very next best ADHD thing, and we're going to get out my other cookie sheets. Now, I only own one, and one reason why I often only own one of a specific cooking thing is for cases like this. It kind of forces me to stay on top of dishes, because then I don't just let it pile up, because if I only have one big pot and I need it, then I just really have to clean it. But my kid's been sick, and like dishes just, life happens, right? So 2 half cookie sheets is the same thing as one. At least today it's going to be. All right, so either gonna need 2 half sheets or 1 big one. All right, let's gather up some more ingredients and we'll get cooking. Okay, so I'm gonna start on my chicken first. I have 2 pretty darn large chicken breasts here, and I'm gonna cut them in half, and each of my family's just gonna eat half of this chicken breast. If you have sensory issues like myself, feel free to use disposable gloves as you're working with your chicken. Touching raw chicken just grosses out a lot of people, myself included, but some days I have to debate whether I wanna actually deal with the glove sensation or the chicken sensation. With people with sensory processing disorder, you'll understand. Today, I'm just gonna use my hands. So also, if you hear my kid coughing, they're getting over a cold, and so hopefully the coughs aren't coming through the microphone too loudly. And poor kid. Okay, so first thing that we're gonna do, like I said, is we want to make this thinner. For one thing, a sheet pan meal in the oven this thick of a chicken breast would take so long to cook. Now you wanna do this away from you, but like I've mentioned in lots of videos, I learned muscle memory on doing this incorrectly towards myself, and I just can't quite do it away from myself. So you just keep your hand flat on top of the chicken breast and run your knife parallel, and you'll get 2 thinner pieces of chicken breast. Now, if you have a meat mallet, you can use it, or I just like to use the back of my knife because 1, I don't know where my meat mallet is, and 2, that's just one more dirty thing to have to wash later. So also make sure that you clean up your chicken. Like, these didn't have any kind of like really fatty bits or anything that I needed to clean off. But pounding them thin like this is again gonna help them cook a little faster and be more tender. So I'm gonna do that with all, I'm gonna end up with 4 pieces of chicken, and then I will be right back. Okay, so I went ahead and lined my sheets with foil. I used to think this was just a waste of foil, save the earth, all of that. But I now think of it as an accommodation for myself. My poor baby is in there coughing so much. Using foil so that cleanup becomes easier at the end of dinner when you don't have very many spoons. And if you don't know what that is, just Google disability and spoons, or executive functioning points, as I like to call them. And so we want to do these things to accommodate ourselves and don't feel guilty or shame around them. Okay, so I just lightly sprayed it with some oil, and now I'm just gonna, I want all 4 of these to fit on one cookie sheet. Spaced out would actually be a little bit better for cooking, but gotta wash those hands. Okay, we're gonna season them up front and back. So salt, a little pepper, and some garlic powder, and I will flip them and do the other side. Okay, so I have all 4 of them on my cookie sheet. And now what we're gonna do is take some kind of cream cheese spread, flavored spread. This one is spinach and artichoke soft spreadable cheese. So in the cheese section of your store, you're gonna find some kind of flavored cheese spread that like, ooh, that sounds interesting. Buy that one. Now, here's the difficult thing. We don't want to double dip because I don't think it's going to take all 4. I mean, it's going to take this whole 10 to cover these 4 chicken breasts. And this stuff is just delicious with crackers. So I'm going to get a spoon. And what I'm going to do is kind of like dollop it on my chicken breasts. And then I will use my fingers to kind of flatten it out. It's going to use most of the 10, but you know, if you get a little bit left over for a couple of crackers as a good snack later, that will be yummy. Why do I keep calling it a 10? I don't know. Let's try something fun together with either another little piece of foil. This is the lid, the protective cover of this, or you know, a piece of saran wrap. I'm going to spray it. And I'm going to try to use this to flatten it down so it doesn't stick to my fingers. Look at that. That works pretty well. No. I mean, it kind of gets you started. No. Didn't work. Thought it would. Okay, this is the most difficult step of this process, is trying to get this cheese on here in a relatively thin layer. Ah, there we go. I just sprayed my fingers. That worked. That looks good. Okay, if at all possible, clean up as you go. Let's go straight in the trash. For me, cleaning up as I go just kind of incorporates it better than at the end with the daunting task of all the cleanup. Then it's almost like too big of a task. Okay, clean cutting board, clean knife, although I could have just washed that one. And I'm gonna do some potatoes on our cookie sheet. Now, again, if you don't have the executive functioning points and you're like, I need to make this dinner a little bit more simple, then throw some frozen tater tots on this cookie sheet. You know, food is food. And some nights we might have homemade potatoes, and some nights we're gonna have frozen tater tots, and it's all good. They actually sell frozen potatoes too, so you could use a bag of frozen pre-cut potatoes. So I'm making these pretty small because I want them to cook at the same rate as my chicken, and potatoes can take a while to cook. So I'm just slicing them and then rotating them. These are small little, I think are these Yukon Gold potatoes? I'm not really sure, I forgot. They're very small little potatoes, but you could use a russet potato or red potatoes, whatever. Because, you know, like I said, you could use tater tot potatoes. You're just gonna do what works for you. Okay, my cutting board is getting a little crowded, so I'm gonna put these off onto here. Somehow I feel like the one cookie sheet is bigger than the two, but they're supposed to be, these are supposed to be 2 halves of a whole. I'll just use 4 potatoes. 1 little potato per person. Okay, now onto the green beans. Okay, so with these fresh green beans, you just line them up and cut off. Oh, by the way, this whole time I've had my oven preheating to 375, so I just heard it come up to temperature. So I just kind of use my knife to get these all guys to stand up in a row, and I cut off the tips, and then we'll just lay them out on the cookie sheet. Now, if you don't like green beans, you could use cauliflower, you could use broccoli, you could do like a mixture of onions and bell pepper. Carrots make good roasted vegetables. Any kind of vegetable that you would like roasted, or combination thereof. Okay, let's go ahead and season up these vegetables. Now I'm actually gonna, instead of use the Sprite, I'm actually gonna use olive oil because I want a good amount of oil so that they don't stick to the foil. And then I'm gonna sprinkle some olive oil on the green beans too. A little bit of pepper. Go as heavy as you like. Generous amount of salt. Okay, you are gonna wanna get in there and zhuzh them around with your fingers a little bit. This is a sensory thing that I just don't like, touching oily vegetables like this. It just makes me yuck, but it's fast and I don't really feel like putting gloves on just for this one step. If I was prepping up a lot of oily veggies somehow, I probably would. All right, clean these up fast. Sometimes I try to use tongs, but the tongs just never, sometimes your fingers are just the best tool in the kitchen, no way around it. Okay, I have some pre-mixed ranch seasoning here. I like to use ranch. Oh God, this one's so hard to open. Most of these, like my garlic one, you have to be careful because it'll open and spill everywhere. This one is really tight. Onion powder, garlic powder, dill, parsley, and chives. And I mix it up together and I use it to make homemade ranch dip all the time. Ah, there we go. Okay, so there it is. You can buy packets of ranch. You could just use garlic powder. You know, you can just keep it at salt and pepper. Ranch potatoes, cheesy ranch potatoes has a good ring to it. Lately, I've actually been using the bagged Parmesan a lot, but apparently I'm out. So I do have a block of Parmesan. So I am gonna go ahead and run this over my potatoes and green beans. I don't really care for the Parmesan that comes in the green can, but if you like it, then go ahead. One last ingredient and we'll get this in the oven. This is another optional ingredient. It's called nutritional yeast. And the great thing about this is that it has 420% of your daily net allowance of like the B vitamins and 630% of B12, which is one that is really hard to get in a lot of American diets. So, and it just tastes cheesy. It's got a cheesy flavor to it. It's really good. I sprinkle it on popcorn. I sprinkle it in my mac and cheese. Wherever I can think of, I will put it. All right, we're gonna pop these in. Okay, we're gonna pop these in the, sorry. Just had an ADHD moment. Never mind that I'm filming. I'm like, oh, did I get a text message? Okay. Pop these in the oven. They're gonna take about 20 to 25 minutes to cook. We're gonna see that the potatoes are fork tender and our chicken needs to get to 165 degrees. So it's been about 20 minutes. Ooh, starting to look good. We're gonna go ahead and check the temperature of the chicken. I'll lift one up and insert my meat thermometer. I need tongs, I think. Don't want my cheese to get squished off. Oh yeah, awesome. Okay, so it's right at 160, but I had a kind of cool idea while it was cooking. I remembered I had some of these like already cooked bacon pieces, and so I was feeling a little extra. I'm gonna sprinkle some of these on here. Obviously, this is totally optional because I wasn't even gonna do it originally. It was just an idea that came to me. And then I'm gonna check on the potatoes and green beans. They are starting to get crispy. They're fork tender. Give them a quick And they stuck a little bit. No, not too bad. Not too bad. Okay. Kind of toss my green beans a little bit. And then I'm gonna actually put all of this under the broiler just for a couple minutes. Let's see if I can get a little bit more extra crispy because I like really crispy food. And the chicken too. Oh, and if you're ADHD, don't forget to set a timer because even if you're staring at the oven, something's gonna distract you and you're gonna forget. All right, here it is out of the oven. Minimal cleanup to do tonight. Let's give this chicken a taste. This is really good. I'm glad I coated the whole thing in salt, pepper, and garlic because like that little piece at the end didn't really have much of the cheese on it yet, but it still was super flavorful because it had like that garlic powder on it. So my dog, he's like, dinner's ready. I want my dinner. I can hear him. I'm gonna try one more piece with the bacon and cheese on it. That's so good. The cheese adds so much flavor. Also, if you have an air fryer and you want your potatoes extra crispy, just do like the chicken and your vegetable maybe in the oven and put your potatoes in the air fryer and they'll get even more crispy. This is good. This is so good. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. My family is ready to come down and eat their dinner, so I'm gonna call them. Make sure you check out some of my other videos and I will see you on the next one. Bye guys.